Okay, welcome to our program today. I got the contract. I got paid. Now, what? Thank you so much, Sister Sebron, for creating this space, space for grace, space for possibilities. And this is my kind of coming out party. I haven't been doing business coaching for a long time. I've been focused on my nonprofit mentoring in medicine, but I'm glad that I took this offer because this, I think, is an opportunity for me to kind of come back, use some of these new agentic AI tools, and really serve our community as well. So I want to go over 9 steps to turn one win into a thriving creative business. I have 2 companies, Small Business Camp and also mentoring in medicine. Next slide. All right, so who am I? I built multiple multi-million dollar businesses in marketing, design, training, and also a nonprofit. I've trained thousands of entrepreneurs from Hawaii to Nigeria to Alaska. Had a chance to lecture at Harvard University. I appeared on the Oprah Winfrey Show. I've been featured in the Wall Street Journal, CNBC, and also Entrepreneur magazine. I don't say this to impress you. I say this to impress upon you what's possible as well. I was born in Jamaica, Yemen. The accent only comes back when I get angry, which is really every 5 years. And I think I'm due pretty soon. Next slide. All right, so here's rule number 1. Before you spend a dime, you have to separate it. The most effective way to build wealth over time is to do it automatically. And so you have to begin to have a savings account where the first 10%, 20%, even 30%, 50% you actually put into a separate account. So this helps you go from this feast or famine, and it really begins the day you start to split checks. And so I trust. So this is why, motivational speaking and doing training seminars to me is of no value if you don't follow through. And so right now in the chat room, I'd like the people to, let's go ahead and confess. Do you have a separate account that automatically pulls money from your main account? If not, I'm giving you 30 days to really get this into motion. This is about action, not about simply listening or learning. It's about taking action. I think Capital One had a great account. There are other accounts out there. Start doing some account shopping. I love Money Magazine. It can tell you which accounts are best. Next slide. Now, what you want to do is always to be able to research the opportunity. Know exactly why they paid you. I know this is kind of an interesting idea that people don't pay you for the reasons you think they're paying you. And you actually really want to interview your clients and push them. Like, why did you really pay me? You know why I paid you? Because you tend to show up an hour early. You know why I really paid you? Because you're one of the performers who, I like the fact that you have a big Instagram following. You know why I paid you? Because you stand out when it comes to the presentation. I don't know why. You don't know why people really paid you. And so you want to begin to ask a question. What problem did you really solve? What's the pain point? Listen carefully for the words. People pay me for something I don't value. So I think you're paying me as your business coach, and a couple of you actually are going to be interested in hiring me toward the end of this presentation. Hint, hint. But people pay me for something I don't really value. So I think you'd pay me for marketing strategies, connections, coaching. But people say, Andrew, I really pay you for motivation. I'm like, really? Yeah. You motivate me. You inspire me to make sure I get things done. All right. And so you want to look for the pattern. Find who else feels the exact same pain, and develop a marketing program around being the Tylenol when somebody has a headache. Next slide. All right. So your paid gig is your audition. All right. So if you do your job properly, every paid gig goes to another paid gig. When I was a motivational speaker, every time I spoke to an audience of 100, 200 people, it led to more speaking opportunities. All right. And so you should definitely have this flywheel. If you're very intentional about every time you're presenting, it's setting you up for your next opportunity. And how does that happen? You exceed the expectations. How does that happen? You over communicate. You provide updates, deadlines, no surprises. How does it happen? You make your client look good to their people. So every delivery is a performance. So you want to be able to give them an encore. Next slide. All right. So send a thank you note. Send a handwritten thank you note. I know it may sound blasphemous right now in the age of digital communication, but if you know what, that could be the greatest investment you can make in your entire life, is to go to an office supply store and purchase a stack of blank thank you cards, and purchase some stamps and have that in your bag. If you were to get in the habit of just sending out handwritten thank you notes, you begin to separate yourself from your competition, and it builds a sense of gratitude and appreciation as well. Next slide. All right, so one client is a map to hundreds. Your client has lookalikes. Take a look at the industry. Same pain, same budget. You want to market aggressively for them. You want to build up your social media platform. That's something that I definitely want to help some of you actually build your social media platform. Look into paid advertising on social media. Look at what posts are getting a lot of likes, a lot of engagement. See how you can boost it. And you want to go where they gather. Here's a great tip for you. Take a look at your clients. If you find that churches tend to hire you, well, guess what? I want you to go to the National Baptist Convention, and I want you to be a vendor. I want you to maybe open up at the event. Okay, so that's an example of you want to go where your clients gather. Next slide. All right, so you want to let others brag for you. It's kind of funny that one time I had someone call me up and say, "Yeah, Andrew, I heard about you. You work with a lot of entrepreneurs. You've helped a lot of people, but I want you to convince me. I need you to sell me why I should hire you." I began to laugh so hysterically. I say, "Convince you? Listen, I don't. This isn't a used car, man." I said, you gave me a great idea, man. And what I did was I did the email to all my clients. I said, "Give me a testimonial." All right. I sent this guy a 100-page PDF. I said, "You read these testimonials, you call the folks. I don't convince people." All right. So you need to posture yourself. So I don't let others brag about you. Okay. What you want to do is you want to allow that social proof to be front and center. You're going to be able to share that with others. So applause from a client is louder than any ad. Next slide. Okay. So one project can lead to many posts. So you want to get in the habit of repurposing your content. This one presentation can become an ebook. This one presentation can become a YouTube video. This one presentation, I can chop it up, put it on TikTok. Chop it up, put it on Instagram. Chop it up, put it up on LinkedIn. And so what you want to do is think about every project that you do. How can it become many posts? You want to document as you go. I could have my own camera right here recording me. I could actually, I may actually even make an offer where, hey, pay me $4.95. I'm going to give you 30 days of coaching. And guess what? Coaching each of you becomes more content that I can also help to build my brand. So you already made the art. Now make your art work overtime. Next slide. And you can't scale alone. You have to build a team, build a team, build a team, build a team. When I point this finger at you, 4 fingers are pointing back at me. So here's another assignment for everyone today. And those of you who hire me as your coach, I'm going to help you refine this. But I'd like you to send an email to local colleges, universities, even high schools, and say, "Hey, listen, I'm looking for an intern. It's the Carolyn Sebron internship program. Here are all the benefits. This is what you will learn." And guess what? There's always a younger version of Carolyn who wants to be like Carolyn, who's in high school, who's in college, who will be enamored to have a chance to work with her. And so you want to start with the faculty. That's something else. Is I have a hard time interviewing students, but if you have the faculty recommend the students, or even have your business serve as a class project, that's a great way for you to be able to scale. So you can't scale alone. You want to build a support team, and every great act has a crew behind the curtain. So go ahead and get your crew. Next slide. And you want to get paid while you sleep. So how can you get paid while you sleep? It's by building an online community. There is a website called School, SKOOL, that you could easily build a community. You could have monthly membership access to you. You can build digital products. All right. And you know what? I think I'm being inspired. I will do a small business camp weekend where I like to have you spend the whole weekend with me. That's right. Come in Friday, and by Sunday night, everything is done. And when you see my curriculum, people say, Andrew, who wants to sit in the classroom for 12, 16 hours? No, I'm not talking to you for all that time. You're actually building your digital empire. And so think about that guide. Think about that video series, because your contract is the proof. And now you want to make it into a product. So you turn one performance into permanent revenue stream. Next slide. All right, so your next contract starts today. So you want to protect it, split the money before you spend it. Split the money before you spend it. Then you nail it. You research, you over deliver, you say thank you, and then you grow it. You market, delegate, and build it into recurring revenue. Money isn't the finish line, it's the seed. And this has been Andrew Morrison from Small Business Camp, and Sister Sebron has paid for this message. Thank you so much.
Myself on mute. Sorry. Thank you, Andrew. Paid for in smiles and gratitude. And we're going to have an opportunity for question and answers, Q&A later on. I'm going to do a little Q&A, and then you'll have an opportunity. You can start putting your questions in the chat, and I'll go through that and ask questions as well. So Andrew has given us the big picture, entrepreneurship, things to think about, how to build your brand. And that's important, especially these days, using social media, etc. Now, Eldric is going to break down some numbers for us, just so we can see what that looks like. And I want to preface this by saying years ago, I got one of my bigger contracts at the time in Monte Carlo. And I was with one of my friends, Howard Haskin, who is a wonderful tenor, and he lives in Paris. And Howard looked at me and he said, "You think you're rich," because we get paid in lump sum. So Eldric, as soon as I can get this up, Eldric is going to talk about breaking down those numbers. And then I have a couple of questions for both of my guests. Okay.
Well, Carolyn, while you're doing that, I'll give a quick introduction of myself.
Okay.
I know a few faces on here. Hello. Great to see you. My name is Eldric Bashful. Yes, it is really my name. And no, I'm not, at least unless I decide to. I am an operatic tenor, former professional dancer. I've done a lot in the art space. I have a background also in finance, where I built an early career in the financial industry as a limited broker, then moving over into HR training and development. And those skills I use today in the seat that I sit in as the general director of Opera Ebony. But fun facts is something that I've started out of necessity. We've all had those plans. We're going to do this for this amount of time, and that's going to give me the resources and the goals to be reached for building my financial success. And then life happens. We've all been there. And then in looking back, we realize the journey has been very great in ways. It's been frustrating in ways. And the one thing that we did not account for in all of the hours and money spent grooming ourselves, getting the voice together, getting the repertoire together, getting the auditions out there, doing all of the things that we are encouraged to do as an artist, we forget there's a large and huge cost, and that cost is time. We lose the ability to leverage those 20s, the 30s. We're in our 40s, 50s, sometimes 60s, looking back and going, what am I going to do now? So Fun Facts has been developed specifically to answer those questions. Next slide. One of the biggest mistakes we make as an artist is we forget that we are the product. We are the business. And that business is not just our talent, our voice, our body. It is more than that. And one of the biggest things we fail to do as artists is to treat the package as such, which means we need to have those foundational documents like strategic plan for the year, strategic plan for the 5-year, 10-year mark, and be able to really focus on this art that we do as a business. Every contract we make is revenue, true. This is a wonderful thing. This is something that we all aspire to in a very profitable way. But as you know, there's a lot of investing, there's a lot of prepaying for things, getting a roll together. That could take thousands of dollars. And typically we're paying that out of our pocket from what we currently have. This is the motto. This is the thing that we've been taught to do. However, we need to look beyond that and really take advantage of other things that can make the future brighter and more prosperous. The profit and losses, we do that. We get that $5,000 gig for the weekend, and that pays for something in our current life. But what if there was a different way? And I say that there is. And that other way includes looking at recurring income and building, as Andrew said, building those things that work for you while you're asleep, work for you while you're on stage, work for you when you're off stage. Next slide. So recently I heard about an individual that was totally shocked and amazed at getting that big contract. And $30,000 looks like a wonderful thing to have. But as you know, that's not what you really have. First and foremost, you've got to pay your agent and manager. So that takes a good $3,000 to $5,000, depending on what your agreement is. Remember, that is a business contract. So it's not just, oh, I have to pay it and that's it. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. Then there's taxes. We typically are getting paid in 1099, and there are no taxes taken out, no Social Security taken out. So that becomes a deduction. Then all of the housing and the food and all of the things while we're away from home, that's another deduction. So that $30,000 starts to look more like $16,000, which is a hurtful thing when you really consider it all. Next slide. Same situation. Now you're working abroad. Now you've got a foreign income tax because you're not a resident of another country. So that's even more coming out. And 16, now 13, or even more, depending on where you are in the world working. These things are business expenses, but we've not been taught to look at ourselves as a business entity. We've been taught to look at ourselves as an artist. And that is another cost, because all of these fees that go out when you're structured beyond just your individual self, those become costs of operating your business and ways of mitigating and reducing tax liability from doing a LLC. And I will suggest that not all LLCs are created equally. There's advantages of selecting a different state to operate your LLC. Those are details that could be germane to your specific situation. And I will stick a preface in here. This is for educational and entertainment advice only. It is not legal or lawful advice. So remember, you have to do your homework. The more you know about your situation, the more questions and depth of knowledge you have to bounce off of a professional. So keep that in mind. Next slide, please. So here at Fun Facts, I've got 3 cores, and I'm going to speak specifically about core 1. Core 1 is one of the main pillars that you have to understand, because these are the habits that then get built for the future. If I were to ask you, what are your numbers? And when I speak of numbers, I mean, what is your income to expense ratio? How many people would know that? If you do, great. Most of us don't. We have an idea, but we don't know specifics. So the first module is getting to understand where do my dollars go every month. I have income, I have outcome. And every time I look at my bank account, it's not what I thought it was. So we look at spending habits and tendencies. The second pillar, or module within pillar 1, is building a functional monthly budget. And I know you've heard this before, and I know you've tried to do something like this before, but it is something that is the cornerstone of growing your wealth. And if you do not grow your wealth, then you will always work and work for somebody else. The whole goal of looking at a real structured budget is not just where your expenses are going. And by the way, your expenses should not be more than 50% of your income. If it is more than 50%, you have to figure out a way to build up so that it isn't. And there are many ways of doing that, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. So beyond expenses, you have, in some circles, and I align myself with this, 30% of my income should be considered investment pool. So, for every dollar, 30% is going towards investing. And that investing could be my retirement account. Some people might have a 401k. Others might start a Roth IRA. There are reasons to have those. And there are other reasons to focus your dollars beyond that. And that I'm going to talk about as well. The overall goal of having such a regimented monthly look at where your dollars are going is so that you can understand what your unallocated expenditures or dollars are, so that you can specifically and purposely focus those dollars in purposeful ways. Meaning, if you can afford to fund 30% or 40% of your income, what are other ways are you're using to grow your wealth? Most of us who are performing artists, we tend not to fall within having extra to the point of having something to do with it. Not an issue. However, one of the main strategic things about your unallocated dollars every month is building. In my opinion, and again, educational and entertainment only, in my opinion, the best way of growth is using what is called a whole life insurance product. And not all insurance people know how to write it correctly. So I'm being very specific about this. When there is a caveat of high cash value within that structure that is built on a 90-10 split, meaning the 10% is your death benefit, that's where your commission is coming from, that the insurance pays that agent for, then you have the best possibility of building a nest egg of cash that you can use at your discretion without having to ask permission from the bank. This is a key for those of us who have fluctuating income. And it is something that I use today. It has gotten me through some hard times. It has gotten me through some good times as well, because it is the beginning of thinking about how to make money work for you. And when I say that, we as artists, we can no longer solely depend on making our income from the stage. We have to diversify. We can no longer afford to pick up a gig to pay us $1 today, and then we go off for 3 months and we have to find a different job because that job is no longer available for us. We have to think more strategically, business-minded wise, that if I build something on some of the other skills that I have built in my life, be it I might be a great accountant or be able to get a certificate to do accounting for small firms, that becomes more income coming in that you can redirect for your expenses, for your investment, and for your play. I left out the play part. 20% of your income goes to play. Whatever you want to do, but it's planned play. It is not, well, let me see how much I have in the account. Ooh, swipe. No, no, no. Andrew was talking about segregating your money into separate things. I suggest and highly encourage that you do that. Your 50 that you're doing for your expenses goes to one account. Your 30 could go to a high yield savings account. So you're creating more revenue there, as well as investing on top of that. And then the 20% where you want to swipe without looking, that goes in a specific bank account. That's for that purpose only. You're not paying bills out of that. That is your fun money. And you have to plan it. One of my clients came to me and said, Eldric, I'm so excited. I saved $145 just in a week. And I said, times that by 52. Said, oh, Eldric, don't do that to me. You're going to make me, I'm not trying to guilt you into not spending your money the way you want to spend it. I'm saying if you saved $145 because you took the train instead of taking an Uber everywhere, where else in your expenditures is that also happening? And that is over $7,000 in one area, just one area that can be purposefully spent elsewhere and in things like a high cash value life insurance with caveats and paid up annuities and all of those kinds of things that build up that cash value. You can specifically channel those expenditures and capture without spending it out of the door. Next slide. So what do? As Andrew suggested, you've got to specifically put your money in different areas. So within 48 hours of getting any type of dollar in your account, you've got to start splitting it down 50, 30, 20%. That way you get to see on a regular basis those values grow while you know what your expenses are. The unallocated portion, that's where you're going to start building your savings, because you should have 3 to 6 months of your expenses ready to go just in case. Once you've built that discipline, now you're looking at investing and growing and moving towards recurring income. You might have in your area places where you can start becoming a real estate person. There are programs through the government where if it's a fourplex, for example, you might qualify for a low down payment that helps you get ownership and get one of the 4 to live in for 2 years minimum. The other 3 are the income that pays the mortgage. What are you doing with your portion that you don't have to pay? Investing, growing, recurring income, so that when you do get to retirement, and it's a planned retirement, not I can't retire. That's a conversation I've had with myself recently. You start to be able to see how those things play into the plan, the business that is you. That builds the discipline so that you have revenue and resources down the line that can work for you. This is the whole reason you can no longer just be a performer or just have a JOB unless you're utilizing it with strategic intent. So that is the big message here, is strategizing. Next slide. So keeping this momentum going, go to Fun Facts on Instagram. My website is Eldric Bashful eldricbashful.com/fun facts with an S. And that's FUND, fund facts, because the facts are funding, so to speak. The answers are out there. The main goal is that you get that discipline. And through groups like what Carolyn has put together, that Andrew is building, that I'm building, it is all about knowing that you're not alone. We're in this together. And one of the biggest oversights in our education is that no one's talking about the real cost of being an artist. Yeah, we know it's expensive to be an opera singer. Yes, it's expensive to be a dancer. Those things are known, but there's a hidden cost that we lose that time of compacting through the years and centuries. And take this into heed. What you don't start in your 20s, and you only start in your 30s, but you didn't really start into your 40s. You're asking your dollars to lose 52% of growth over time. And then in order to get to the same results, you're asking your dollars to participate 77% in order to reach the same goal. That's the cost of not having time. So I encourage you to follow, keep Carolyn in your circle of influence, join Andrew and myself as we talk about these things because they're very important. And I'm a living example of my own life. This is how Fun Facts actually started, because my plan got interrupted and I had to pivot. And I looked back and said, if I had known what I know now, 15, 20, 40 years ago, my outcome would have been different today. I would have had the ability for different choices. And this is what the financial game is. It's about providing choices, and it is never too late, and it's never too early. Thank you.
Thank you, Eldric, and thank you, Andrew. Now, you guys, oh, I'm kind of breaking up on the video there. Okay, so we're going to have Q&A. You can type your questions into the chat. And we're a small group today, so I just have a couple of questions for Andrew and Eldric. Let me just adjust this things. Okay, so we can see everybody there. Hello, hello, hello. Some of my National Association Negro Musicians group. Hello, hello, hello. So Andrew and Eldric, just dialogue a little bit. You know, for people in the arts, we have that feast or famine periods in our lives. Either we're working and, you know, those contracts are coming in and we're paying bills from things that we've incurred, or there's nothing happening and we're just kind of scrounging around just to keep the roof over our heads. How would you approach that feast or famine period? How do we manage our money when we're going through those ups and downs?
Well, first of all, I want to commend Eldric on a wonderful presentation. I definitely want to give him some flowers right now. But the biggest reason why I want to commend him is that I agree with probably 99% of everything he said. And so I kind of reserved the 1%, you know, just to say it. But no, that was a very powerful presentation. And it's great to be able to, connect with others. And so I have all these theories in life. And one of my theories is that things go wrong for the exact same reason why you knew they were going to go wrong, but you decided to ignore the signs. Okay, so the signs everywhere. We can act like I'm surprised that there's a leak. I'm surprised this is expensive. I'm surprised my cousin have to bail him out of jail. Stop being surprised. You know what's about to happen in your life. If you were to go to your ATM machine and look at that receipt, that balance right now, that balance was actually placed there 90 days ago. It was based upon your thoughts. All right. So if you want to have a new balance 90 days from now, we have to start thinking differently. You've made an investment in yourself today. And so you want to begin. There's some actions you need to take today to prevent that quote unquote famine. Because guess what? Life is about seasons. OK, there'll always be a winter. There'll always be a fall. There'll always be a spring to plant, and there'll always be a harvest. So we always have these ups and downs. And this is why when Eldric mentioned about having a 3-month, a 6 months, emergency account, that's probably the number one priorities that you have to really commit to. So we're here to support you. And I want to offer something even wild, interesting. And Carolyn knows, Eldric is getting to know me. I want the three of us. I want Carolyn, Eldric, and myself to join together to offer a weekly coaching program. Like this to me can't stop. All right. So instead of me saying, hey, sign up, work with me for $4.95 a month, I want to split that amongst the three of us. All right. And I want all of us to be able to support you. And all of us have the same spirit. It's not even about the money. If you can't even afford to pay us the $4.95, don't worry about it. We got you. We're even willing to give you even a money back guarantee. So I want us as a community to begin to practice cooperative economics, because if one person succeeds, all of us can succeed if we have the right mindset.
Is that not called Harambe?
There you go.
Yeah, and I think, I know for myself, I've gone through the doctoral program, so 3 different programs, and we never really talked about personal finance. I wanted to pivot back to something that, Eldric, you said about insurance. Now, whole life insurance, I used to have term because I said I was traveling a lot. I said, if the plane goes down, at least my sister can pay off her house, and even though whole life may be an option, some kind of insurance is important, especially for those of us that, well, not me now, but are on the road, traveling a lot. You're up in the planes, you're on the trains, you're in cars. And that, in a way, is having some kind of security for your family if you can't afford the whole life insurance. I wanted to ask you about this budgeting thing. What are the mechanics of that? How would you get started in charting your finances?
I think your first question will answer this. So what's your numbers? What's your expense numbers for every month to sustain you for rent, utilities, phone, all of the necessities, your MTA expenditures? What's your monthly number? That's rhetorical. I don't need to know that. But if you don't know that, then when the feast is happening, you don't know the importance of planning for the famine. So if you know your numbers and you're on top of it every month, the discipline of knowing that means already you're thinking, I've got that 30K gig coming up. I'll walk away with this. If I mitigate such and such in business, then I might be able to eke out an extra 5,000, blah, blah, blah. Great. Now I can plan. What I'm saying and what I'm encouraging the younger generation, this may not work for us that are over 45. However, I think the principle is still there. This is a big number. You can save $16,000 a year, every year, from 26 to 56. You will have far more than $1 million of cash value that is not taxable, which means through those years, you can leverage without paying interest. Now, that's a big number, but let's break that down. That's $300 a week, or 15 hours of work at 20-something dollars an hour. That's 2 days out of a week that you can be specifically working towards building that resource. And the nice thing about whole life insurance is that you can write in caveats like, I want my premium to be $5,000 a year. That's what I want to commit to. But I want to be able to put in an extra $30,000 if I have the extra. Those kinds of terms are caveats that other instruments can't carry or become not as efficient in having. That's the beauty of the whole life.
Okay, well, Eldric, I want to pivot back to Andrew, and then we're going to open the floor for an hour. Just isn't enough. I mean, I'm learning so much, because when you say money, I get nervous. That's the anxiety producing thing in my life. I'm going to have to cut that out of the recording. But anyway, Andrew, you talked about marketing It's true. You talked about marketing and branding. How do we overcome those obstacles of things like imposter syndrome, especially for us, if you know what I'm saying? That oftentimes we find ourselves in areas where we may be one of one, where we're constantly being challenged in our credentials and our abilities, because all that goes into being a business person, does it not?
Yes, and my sister, Carolyn, your statement about the anxiety that the word money causes, I just have to pause just to kind of honor that. And thank you for your transparency, because that's real. And I just, because I know you asked me a question, I want to pivot back to Brother Eldric as well. But there's a psychology around money that we simply have to just pause and deal with. Because if we don't, the wisdom that Eldric and I are trying to share, it's like putting new wine into old wineskins. We have to really have our mindset be born again. And actually, it begins with kind of forgiving our parents. And that sounds crazy, but because this is a money blueprint that you inherited. You heard about that uncle who tried to start his own business and he failed, and you heard about these stories of, oh yeah, so and so tried to have their own, real estate business, and so we have all these stories. And so I think the first thing we need to do is to write down our stories, write them down, and then look at them and say, does this serve me? Because some of these stories don't serve you. So permit me, Sister Sebron, permit everybody right now to be open to having a new blueprint, a new approach to money. It's the love of the money that's the evil. We as a people have never loved money. We never loved it. Money in and of itself has no value. It's the exchange of value. And so if you can work with me, everybody, and let's just do let's do a money affirmation. So Sister Sebron, work with me right now and repeat after me right now. Say, I'm a money magnet. Say it.
I am a money magnet.
Say, money flows to me in wonderful ways.
Money flows to me in wonderful ways.
As money flows to me, I'm able to bless others.
As money flows to me, I am able to bless others.
All right. Amen. Let's give Sister Sebron a round of applause. Okay.
Amen.
She's having a breakthrough. And so let's just talk, because once again, I saw a question about trust and wills, and we can talk about, all kind of exotic things. All right. But if we don't go back to our past, I tell people that the child is the parent of the adult. What had happened to you as a child? What's your early money stories, and how those stories have shaped you, and how you can look back and say, thank you for that story, but that story no longer serves you. So if you don't mind me passing the ball back to Brother Eldric and kind of talk about this psychology that we need to change around money.
Yeah, we're going to do that very quickly, and then we have a couple of questions in the chat that we're going to look at. Okay,
Yeah.
Go ahead, Eldric.
Yeah, sure. I think the hesitations that we have, the fears that we have, is because we don't have education on it. Because we've been taught to not look at it, or and please do not misconstrue my next statement. We're just going to pray on it. Well, prayer needs action. Action can only happen when you educate yourself. So you cannot let the fear consume your entire life, because one thing we do know, things get more expensive. So if you face it, and this is why I broke down fun facts into 3 pillars. The first pillar is just getting to the basics. You can't get to pillar 2 if you don't have a relationship with what your numbers are and what your unallocated numbers are, and what can it take to replace your expenses through your own measures of recurring income streams.
Mm.
If you don't know, you'll never know. So you've got to go through pillar one to get to the escalating phase, which is pillar two. You can't get to pillar three, which is what I call future proofing. Now we're talking trust and generational wealth and legacy and teaching the entire family structure to work under these same principles. We can't get there if we don't start with the pillar one.
Okay, thank you so much. So now we have a question from Baron Coleman, and he says, oh, also, can you guys put in where you are in the country? Because we do have people that are outside of New York. Baron says, asks, would you speak to the importance of a trust and an LLC?
Yes. So an LLC is a conduit. It's a limited liability company. Personally, mine is domiciled in Wyoming. Why? Because Wyoming doesn't have state tax. That doesn't mean that I don't owe state tax here in New York where I do business. Wyoming also offers a type of protection that some others are not as protective. It's also a low-cost state, so the administration of the LLC there is very low. I don't pay more than $150 per year. Also, as I start growing other revenue streams, meaning my Eldric empire, I have family property that I have in trust that I'm setting up as business structures to take advantage of other things, even though one of those properties my father lives in. Again, we don't think usually about that being a strategy.
Mm-hmm.
There are other programs that my father can actually qualify for as a retiree that can pay part of his income to stay in the home that he lives in. Again, strategies.
And those are really important things. We're running out of time, unfortunately. Just a question for Andrew. Can you speak more about, and thank you, Eldric, I didn't mean to cut you off, but just trying to get some of the questions in. Can you speak more about building a team? This is from Kathy Grosner.
Yeah, I'm building a team right now. Carolyn and Eldric are on my team. And we're offering another program for you, and we're going to see you again. All right, so we're not going to be running out of time. So,
and I just want to say, this is just like the first one. I was trying to get some agents on to talk about agents and what they do. So that's in the works, people. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
So here's something else I want to real quick. The number one reason why you never reach your goals, the number one reason is because you don't see yourself reaching the goal. I know that's very painful. You have to first see yourself having a team. And some of you, like, do you work well with other people? Are you, like, I'm actually highly introverted. You know, I like to sit home and read. And so I have to push myself to actually form teams. And so it's okay for you to first appreciate your personality, but realize that if you have a reason, there's always a reason why. And so the best place you want to start is on social media. Tell people, hey, listen, I like to build in public. You know, I like to move in silence. My company's in stealth mode. I don't want anyone to know. Let's stop that. You don't have to share your intellectual property, but just start to tell people, this is what I'm building, and this is who needs to show up. I don't have any money right now, but this is what I'm building. And once it's built, you'll be able to be a part of it. There's so many people out there who are looking for the why, who are looking for the what. And your calling could actually be a chance for them to exercise their cause. And so what you want to do right now is today. Just post up on social media, send an email to a couple of friends, share this with others. I'm looking to build a team. Let's join this Zoom call. And that's how you really start the process.
I want one other thing, and this is a little off the beaten track. Can you talk about addressing imposter syndrome? Did I mention that before?
Yes, and so real quick, I've got very strong. The word imposter syndrome has become a cottage industry. And I get in trouble for this.
I did mention it.
Studies for consultants, they're making a lot of money running around the country talking about imposter syndrome, and it's real sexy. But what you want to realize that it becomes like a shiny object that people begin to utilize, and not realizing that every emotion you have is the right emotion. Whether you have fear, whether you have anxiety, your emotions are a signal. And so I want you to relabel that emotion imposter. Honor the emotion. I get the emotion, but let's give it a new label. Labels have tremendous power. And so the new label is this: I'm seeking knowledge. This is a new position for me. I need to build a team. I need to have a mentor. I need to have a coach. All right. And so it's the lack of a vision and lack of a team. That's the reason why we're perishing. So honor the emotion, give it a new label. It's a signal to take action. And the number one action is to ask for help. It's been proven time and time again that folks who look like you and I are reluctant to ask for help, whether it's in the academic situation or it's in the professional situation. Let's begin to ask for help.
It's interesting that you say that, because I now remember I did mention imposter syndrome, and Kathy wrote the word ageism here. One of the things I say to my students, because I'm an adjunct at a college here in New York, it's not a sin to ask for help. It's a sin to need help and not ask for it. Right. And just like you were saying, there's things that we can say to other people that we have to share. We have to work on ourselves, right? That's all a part of it. Well, folks, we have arrived at 2:00, and I believe in keeping on time. I want to thank Andrew Morrison and Eldric Bashful for their time, and everybody that stopped in today. I believe your slides are in the chat. Is that okay to share them? Okay, so you need to click on that now and download them. This is the first of, I try to do informational programs as time allows. It's always a little nervous for me. It's like, is anybody going to show up? But we had a nice crowd today, and thank you for your questions and your participation. And I'll let you know about the next one because I've got your email. And so
just a final word.
Yeah.
We have to always build community, and it's fine in this open sense, but also your inner community. Build that for yourself and your people around you. It is so important as adults, I think more than children, who we surround ourselves with like-minded people who want similar goals.
It's an interesting thing. Monday, I was speaking with my dissertation advisor, and I see Kathy Schmidt is on here. So we had a very nice chat. And he was saying to me something that I say to people: you have to find your tribe. These are the people that love you unconditionally, that will be honest with you, but in a loving way, that will support you and you can support them, and that are encouraging, and we can encourage one another. And so I thank you for coming here today.